this is the thumbnail on Don Jr.'s Rumble video of choice. Okay, guys, it's so good. He made everybody freak out. So, if you haven't been following along, Clarence Thomas basically said not only does abortion have to go, but and again, this is scorches liberals, huge win for conservatives. And today he released a statement that they got to look back at not only gay marriage, same-sex marriage, and contraception, but also same-sex relationships, which includes whether or not you can be fired for being gay. You can, let's be abundantly clear. This celebration that is going on by Don Jr. is that businesses like Hobby Lobby and Chick-fil-A will go back to being able to fire people because of their sexuality. For the record, as a Democrat, fuck that. I'm against it. It is something that I have been pushing back against and moving, fighting for the right to be open about who you are, especially at work, my entire life. Back when I was working with Marianne Williamson at Project Angel Food events in 1990, when I was 20 years old, to the time I was on Queer as Folk and beyond. And here we are in 2022 because a bunch of the smartest progressives I know and a bunch of sorority row and pedestrian Republicans are like, yeah, it's not going to really change. Voted in this crap in 2016. Yes, women's right to vote. Well, I mean, I don't think that's up for grabs because they want the women that will vote against
guys,
this.
big news out of the Supreme.
Wow, guys, big news out of the Supreme Court. Just when you thought a really serious thing was happening, I'm going to pop on like I'm selling ice creams to people in the hot sun.
Court for freedom-loving Americans everywhere.
I'm reading this directly from my laptop screen.
This is huge news, and Justice...
Let me guess. It's do you think he's talking about the Roe today, or he's still on guns being able to be carried in New York?
Clarence Thomas, the GOAT.
The GOAT. Clarence Thomas, yeah, for all the folks that Clarence Thomas, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Well, I mean, he thinks that. Clarence Thomas's wife helped his dad with the insurrection, allegedly. So,
bring in the heat.
Bring in reading is so hard.
His opinion
bringing his opinion
about New York's anti-constitutional gun grab.
Unconstitutional. It's not anti-constitutional. It's not. Give us your guns so we can go shoot the Constitution.
Ruling dictatorship, tyrannical nonsense.
You mean the way New York's been operating for decades upon decades?
When he struck down New York's gun carrying restrictions in a 6-3 vote in the Supreme Court, Thomas' opinion establishes the constitutional right to carry for purposes of self-defense.
No, the law, by the way, is the concealed carry law was what it was brought up about. And you're still going to have standards, by the way. They're not going to, you have to make the case that you need it for self-defense. You can't just randomly do it. They can set standards on what kind you can have, for example. Then the rules get really narrow.
It doesn't end at your doorstep, folks. You can protect yourself beyond that. And also, thank you, President Donald Trump, for...
And don't just thank them. Don't just thank them. Don't just thank Trump. You're forgetting some of the biggest help you had getting your dad in office. He wouldn't have made it. He would not have made it over the hump.
3 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, we know. That's what everybody was marching about in the Women's March. And yeah.
Guys, that's why this stuff matters. That's why we've fought so hard for it. All 3 of his justices voted for this.
Of course they did.
So it's a
Green Party. Fuck the Green Party. Until they tell you what, when the Green Party can take out the Republicans on their own, have at it.
Great day for freedom. And just so we're clear exactly what's going on, okay?
Yeah, tell us. At least we'll get it breakdown. I was worried that he was just going to use broad strokes, but let's break down the actual ruling here.
The Supreme Court ruled.
The Supreme Court ruled that any asshole in New York who wants to walk around a gun on the streets of New York, with a gun on the streets of New York, can now do that and can't be bothered why they're going walking around with a gun anywhere in the city, even out in front of a building with your dad's name on it. You starting to see why this is probably a bad idea?
That New York states attempt to keep law-abiding citizens.
Well, everybody's a law-abiding citizen until they ain't.
From concealed carrying is unconstitutional. Okay? The law in New York said that you had to show proper cause.
Right. Now you don't even have to have proper cause. You can just you're just assume it's New York. So just assume your life is in danger.
Cause to carry a handgun for self-defense, and it gave local government bureaucrats the ability to decide that you could or could not carry, even if you met requirements. And not anymore, folks, because that same bureaucrat is probably the same Karen that would be calling the local government officials under the red flag laws that even some of the rhinos in Congress are pushing now.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if he recorded this before or after the vote came through. That the one piece of good news is that the at least some marginal gun regulations passed today, which you get more comprehensive background checks 18 to 21. And they closed the boyfriend loophole so it can cover stalkers and people you went out once and they went off the deep end. Before it had to be somebody you were in a long-term relationship with. You got to fuck this guy for a good long while or hang out with this chick for months, even live together.
But you no longer have to convince.
Which was I moderated for? I don't know, Pace. I didn't do it in myself, so I can't see.
Some government lackey, some flunky that works in a local office that probably hates your guts, your
that's all they do is just get up every day and just grind.
Freedoms, your abilities. If you're in New York, if you're a conservative and you like guns, they probably hate you just for that alone.
Yeah, they can spot you by your beard.
And that you deserve.
And your, striped Horton shirt.
The ability to protect yourself and the people you love.
And, of course, the ability to mishandle your gun and drop it in a Sbarro and blow somebody's kneecap off and not have to carry insurance. By the way, wait till the insurance comes. Oh, yeah, if you're going to carry a gun, we just need to know you're going to do it. We can't deny you the right, but you're going to have to carry insurance in New York. It's just like driving a car. Accidents happen.
So this is great news for law-abiding citizens, not just in New York, folks, but also in California, Washington.
There's a little gnat. Hi, guy. Where are you? There you go. I got you. All right.
D.C., Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, Hawaii.
Where there's people.
Anywhere that constrained your rights and gave the government power to keep you from defending yourselves and your loved ones. So thank you.
Well, and also to keep the police from being able to ask you, hey, why are you going into that building armed to the teeth? And by the way, the limitations on how much you can carry, that's the next fight.
Clarence Thomas, again, bringing the heat on your birthday. Happy birthday to the GOAT. But also, thanks, President Trump, for standing.
And thanks so much to the crowd that told us that we'd be better off with this dude than Hillary any day of the week. She's too much of a monster. I don't like her voice, but her emails. And now there's just the number of guns floating around New York City has gone up exponentially.
Firm for fighting so hard to make sure we have conservative justices, not like the rhinos in Congress and in the Senate that are rolling over to appease the Democrats. They couldn't care less. We got to hold them accountable.
Well, I mean, they actually do care. That's the hard part. That's why they're actually voting for the gun legislation, because in spite of themselves, they kind of have to care because their constituents actually want it, because it is, again, a representative government.
Accountable. Again, it's why I started 2ATF, the Second Amendment Task Force.
He started 2ATF? You mean TATF? T2? T2, the rise of the assholes? 2ATF. I guess the is silent.
Because we need to apply pressure with words, with votes, with coverage, so that people understand we expect our representatives to actually represent our values. So if you're bored, check it out. I'll be talking probably a lot more about this opinion as I'm watching the leftists and the gun grabbers and the communists.
That's a lot of people. You're going to be busy, especially in New York, if you're watching all those folks.
Start to melt down. I imagine it's only a matter of seconds till they start talking about packing the Supreme Court, till they can get their way each and every time, because we've allowed that to happen. Now we actually have to push back and make sure we hold our representatives accountable.
Yeah, and I'm holding the world's smallest joint.
Make sure we call.
Why is it so hard to speak without accenting every word written on the page?
Call them out when they're not doing that. That's how we win, folks. Keep it up. Today was a good day.
Today was a good day. Congratulations to all the folks cited at the Naked Capitalism blog in 2016 for giving Clarence Thomas the best birthday present a guy could ever hope for. And I do mean guy, because obviously women wouldn't hope for this kind of a day, especially if they have children in and around the New York area or anywhere that limits whether or not people can carry concealed weapons. Now, I will say that there's been a back and forth about, there's like a whiplash going on in, hold on one second. I'm going to bring up I can type. There we go. The bipartisan gun legislation that just passed is probably giving people whiplash compared to what's happening at the Supreme Court. And there's going to be a lot of that as people try to batten down the hatches and help in one area while this stuff is happening on the other side. So this is the House gave final approval to the Senate-based compromise, ending nearly 3 decades of congressional inaction under Joe Biden. I would like to say also, same thing happened with infrastructure. Are you starting to get the feeling that Biden knows what the fuck he's doing? Because we're getting wins as we go. And the only thing that's out of our control is the Supreme Court, because we gave it away. We gave it away in 2016. Congress gave final approval on Friday to a bipartisan compromise intended to stop dangerous people from accessing firearms, ending nearly 3 decades of congressional inaction over how to counter gun violence and toughen the nation's gun laws. The House approved Measure 234 to 193, 1 month to the day after a gunman stormed into elementary school in Uvalde, Texas, and used a semi-automatic rifle to kill 19 children and 2 teachers, sparking outrage across the country and a flurry of negotiations on Capitol Hill. The measure now heads to President Biden, who is expected to sign it. The bipartisan legislation will help protect Americans, he said in a statement on Thursday evening. Kids in schools and communities will be safer because of it. Let's see. They list what's in it. Provides millions of dollars to states to implement so-called red flag laws. Allows officials to temporarily confiscate guns from people deemed in court to be too dangerous to own them, and other intervention programs. And it strengthens laws against straw purchasing and the trafficking of guns. This will help immensely, especially in New York and all the cities that Junior just listed. In addition, the measure pours more federal money into shoring up mental health programs across the country, toughening security at schools, and the bill tightens a federal ban on domestic abusers from buying firearms, including recent or current serious dating partners, to close what has come to be called the boyfriend loophole. Good stuff. Incremental change. More is needed, of course, but a ginormous leap forward. Something to be proud of and to tout. And the fact that it was bipartisan is not it should not be undervalued from the point of view of people who are like, what have the Democrats done? They all voted for this. All of them. Every single one. And Angus King. And Bernie Sanders. And I think 12 Republicans. 13. But the idea that like 13, you had to get 13 Republicans on board, you had to water down some of the stuff, but it's better than not having it because this will save lives. Period. End of story. And if you go, well, what the fuck is the point? You can't blah, blah, blah. Then you don't care about the people it will save. Just say so. Look, we got to live with more deaths for a while until the perfect destroys the good. Just admit you don't give a fuck. Same thing with the ACA. Because anybody who's like, we shouldn't have passed, we should have gone down fighting, put in Medicare for all, didn't have the votes for it, still don't. But we would have gone down swinging, and all the people that the ACA helped, fuck them. Fuck them. I mean, sometimes you gotta, what's the difference between people who argue that about this kind of legislation or Medicare for all or any of those kind of things? What's the difference between what they're saying and what what's the difference between them saying, look, if they got it, if we can't get everything we want, we don't want anything, even if it helps people. What's it, fuck them. We gotta let people know, you gotta let people suffer more, no matter what, to get our plan in place. If some people have to suffer, I'm not gonna be one of them. But if other people have to suffer, then we gotta let it happen. How is that any different than this woman? Our only hope for hunger. Russian propaganda Simonian spoke about cannibalistic mood in Russia. This is where she was saying that there's a phrase. She was talking at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. And she said, Simonian said there's a popular joke in Russian society that's actually a call to arms. Our only hope is for, they said famine in the original translation, but for hunger. This means that the famine will start now and they will lift the sanctions and will be friends with us because they will understand that it is impossible not to be friends with us. This is exactly the same reasoning of the all or nothing progressive idea of the perfect must be the enemy of the good. You get everything or we don't get anything. That's the same fucking argument. If some people have to starve to death and die to get what we want, to make people realize that a little fix won't be enough. If you're an absolutist, there's no difference. That's that argument. It's gross. When you're talking about saving lives, helping people, you take every win you can possibly take. Every single one. Because the lives you save mean something. You don't go, look, let's just stick with the status quo until we can get 100% change. And if anybody who tries to even temper the status quo to make it better is not just, not helping enough. They're the enemy. And that's the argument that this person in this article was making about Hillary Clinton. It's the same thing. It's the same. You can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs. If we can't get everything, nobody gets anything. That's fucking horrible morally, ethically. And the people who say that they're liberal or progressive who can even talk like that, hideous. Genuinely hideous. How dare you because none of the people saying this are going to be sacrificed themselves. They're not losing their insurance. They're not losing their house. They're not going broke. They're not the ones who go, fuck it. Help can wait. Until I get a 7-course meal, fuck the starving people. They don't get a scrap. And anybody who comes in saying, we got to get some calories in these people before they die is worse than the person that you are allegedly against. It's like, that's how they're operating. And this is exactly what I would call the faux-aggressive argument for if we don't get everything, nobody gets anything. So, other than that, I have no opinion. All right, this is obviously an important point to me. It's something I've been talking about for years. I will give no ground on it. None. Don't ever expect me to stop vote shaming these assholes or say it's okay. It's not okay. It's never okay. Maybe I still got a chip on my shoulder for the number of times I've had to do CPR because it's not something that everybody can't learn. Make yourself useful as well as ornamental, as my mother always says. And every chance you have, every single chance you have to better the lives of somebody around you, you do it. And if you're in a representative government and a good portion of the Senate is tipped against you because red states are low population, but they still have 2 senators, that's the reality you deal with. And in the reality that you deal with, and that includes, by the way, a West Virginia Democrat, which is never going to be a New York Democrat, sorry, or an Arizona Democrat who took over for a Republican who was the Republican standard bearer in the state. Those people are not going to be all in on everything, because if they are, they'll lose their job and the person who takes over will be worse. So if you can only get 50% of what you're trying to get, you fucking well do it. Because these are lives. This matters. And in the case of the Supreme Court,
I don't know, Hillary. It's just so, At least Trump, it's a mystery how much of a... I'm sure he sexually assaults women and brags about it, and it's on fucking tape. But, Ugh.